Hello my dear children, nice to meet you again with another interesting science lesson. Hope you all are doing great and ready for your favorite science lesson with your writing book, textbook and the pencil. Today we are going to do the next lesson of your grade 7 science syllabus, that is minerals and rocks. It is unit 18 of your textbook. The topic is minerals and rocks. I think this topic is new to you. We have not learned about these rocks and minerals before this. Today we will see what are the things to be learned in this lesson. This lesson is based on these subtopics. They are features of minerals and rocks. My dear children, I would like to recall you an instance where you have collected some stones for playing, sometimes from your home garden or sometimes from the playground. Have you ever observed some differences among the stones you collected? Yes, definitely you will answer me. We observed the stones in different colors, they were in different shapes and they are in different textures. They were in different textures. Then as a whole you can say that the stones were different from each other. Then if I ask you, were you able to classify the stones you collected as rocks and minerals? Definitely you will answer me, no, we did not know how to classify the rocks and minerals appropriately. I am sure at the end of today's lesson, you will be more able to identify the rocks and minerals appropriately, as well you will be able to list out the rocks and minerals appropriately. Then firstly see about the features of minerals and rocks, then kinds of minerals and rocks. The rocks and minerals can be categorized into several types, into different kinds. Especially the rocks are in different types according to the method of formation, and there are different types of minerals also. I have got a sample of minerals to show you, but not now. Wait a moment, right? Then weathering of rock. You know that the rocks are always subjected to weathering. There is a continuous process, we call that weathering of rocks. Then rock cycle. The formation of the rocks is taking place in a circular way, that is known as the rock cycle. Finally, let us discuss about the sustainable usage of rocks and minerals. My dear children, you know that rocks and minerals are considered as one of the most important natural resource of a country. So, we have to use it while thinking about the future generations. Then let us see some methods of using the rocks and minerals by thinking about the future. What is known as a mineral? We will see what is known as a mineral. Minerals have some special features. Let us take one by one. A mineral is a solid made up of one component. Actually, a mineral is not a mixture. It is a solid made up of one component, right? If you observe a mineral, you can observe a regular arrangement of particles. It is solid made up of one component. Minerals are naturally available in the earth in crystalline form. Then I said you that the minerals have got orderly arranged structure, so they have got a crystalline form. They are in different shapes. Then minerals have a definite geometrical shape. It is very important, keep that in your mind. The minerals have got a definite geometrical shape, right? Once again let us read the features of the minerals, okay, right. A mineral is a solid made up of one component, that means it is not a mixture. Minerals are naturally available in the earth in crystalline form. They have a definite geometrical shape, right. Then I have got some minerals to show you. Right. I think you all can easily identify the minerals given in this sample. Then the names of the minerals are also mentioned. Some minerals that are very familiar to us can be read in this way. You can see first one is calcite, right? It is a mineral. Then second one corundum, then feldspar, graphite, then gypsum, hematite, ilmenite, then malachite, mica, quartz, bauxite. Right, now those are the examples for different types of minerals, right. What is known as a rock? Now we have already learnt about what is known as a mineral. Now let us see what is known as a rock, because we have misunderstood that all the minerals and rocks are same, but in science we know that the minerals are not similar to the rocks. Minerals and rocks are different from each other. Now we have already learnt about minerals. Now let us learn about the rocks, right. What is a rock? Rock is a mixture of several components, right. Rocks do not have definite geometrical shapes. Look at the points once again, I will explain you. Rock is a mixture of several components. When I explained you about the minerals, I said you that mineral is not a mixture. It is consisting only one component. But when we think about a rock has a mixture. It is consisting of different substances. A rock consists of different substances. It is a mixture, right. Rocks do not have definite geometrical shapes. When we were talking about the minerals, I think you all can remember, I said you that the minerals have got a definite geometrical shape. I said you that they have got an orderly arranged structure. Their internal structure is orderly arranged. But when we think about the rocks, it is different, because the rocks do not have a definite geometrical shape, right. Now I think you can remember what I taught you for minerals and what I taught you for rocks. Now I am going to summarize these two in a table in this way. Right. Let us compare the rocks and minerals. A table is an easy method to compare something, right. Two things can be easily compared using a table. In this table, there are two columns. In the first column you can see the features of the minerals are given, and in the second column you can see the features of the rocks are given, right. Let us compare. Minerals, a solid made up of one component. Similarly, look at the other side, a mixture of several components. Then you can compare the minerals and rocks. Minerals, a solid made up of one component. It is different from rocks. Rocks are a mixture of several components. Then look at the second fact. Exist in crystalline form with a definite geometrical shape. We learned that. The minerals have got an orderly arranged structure, so they have got a definite geometrical shape, so they exist in crystalline form. There are different types of crystalline forms. I will give you that later, but at this moment you have to understand that the minerals have got definite geometrical shape and crystalline forms. But when we think about the rocks, it is different. The rocks do not have a definite geometrical shape, right. I think you all can compare the rocks and minerals using a table like this. You can copy the table in your writing book and then you can compare them alone after the lesson, right. Types of rocks, a very important topic. My dear children, You know, when we think about the structure of our earth, the outermost layer of the earth is called as the crust of the earth. Then the innermost part of the earth is known as the core of the earth. Crust of the earth and core of the earth, and in between the crust and the core of the earth there is another part called as mantle, right? Then you will be able to learn all these things next lessons, but I think you have already learnt about these things in unit 15 also, right? The outermost layer of the earth, that is the crust of the earth, is made of rocks. The crust of the earth is made of rocks, but there are different types of rocks, right? Actually we think that all the stones are rocks, but there are different types. What is the criteria used to classify the rocks? Yes, the method of formation of the rocks is used to classify the rocks into groups. According to that, we can name 3 types of rocks. We will see the types of rocks. First one, sedimentary rocks. What is it? Sedimentary rocks. Repeat it. Sedimentary rocks, right? These words are new to you, so you have to read them several times and you have to be familiar with the words. Then igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. Third type, metamorphic rocks. Let's read it again. Types of rocks. The rocks are subdivided into 3 main groups: sedimentary rocks, igneous rocks and metamorphic rocks. Right? Now I think you can learn it by heart. If I ask you to list them, now you can do it alone. There are 3 types of rocks according to the method of formation. They are sedimentary rocks, then igneous rocks and metamorphic rocks. Let's take one by one. Igneous rocks, right? Before explaining about the igneous rocks, let's see what is given on the slide. Igneous rocks are formed by cooling and solidifying lava or magma which flows out during a volcanic eruption. Fortunately, in our country, we do not experience the volcanic eruptions. When we think about the structure of the earth, now you already know the outermost layer of the earth is the crust of the earth, right? Below the crust of the earth, below 30 kilometers from the crust of the earth, the temperature inside the earth is more than 5000 degrees of Celsius. Can you believe? Yes, the temperature inside the core of the earth is about 5000 degrees of Celsius. Then you have to understand that there is a very high temperature. Just because of this high temperature, the rocks have molted. The rocks are no more as solids, they are available in liquid state. This liquid rock is known as lava. This liquid rock is known as lava. Then you have to understand that inside the core of the earth there is lava. Lava is in liquid state, actually liquid rocks. During a volcanic eruption, the lava comes out as magma. Can you understand? Once again I will explain you. There is a very high temperature in the core of the earth. Then just because of this high temperature, the rocks have molted and they are available in liquid state. That is known as lava. During a volcanic eruption, the lava comes out, right? And it helps to form the igneous rocks. We will see. Igneous rocks are hard because the lava solidifies. The lava gets cool and solidifies, then igneous rocks are very hard. Look at the picture given on the screen. Yes, you can easily identify the picture. As I said you earlier, we do not experience this in our country. You can see a volcanic eruption. You can see during a volcanic eruption how lava comes out as magma. Then look at the second picture. My dear children, you can easily identify the lava which comes out as magma, gets cool and solidify to form igneous rocks. Then finally, you have to understand that igneous rocks are formed by solidifying lava. You have to understand it as well, you have to keep that in your mind. Right. Then I have given you two pictures. Here are some examples for igneous rocks. That is granite. We can find granite everywhere in our surrounding. Then this is basalt. Right, here are two examples for igneous rocks. First one is granite and the second one is basalt. Granite and basalt. As you have got your writing books in your hand, write down the topic as igneous rocks and put the examples as granite and basalt. Right, now let us move on to the next type of rocks, that is known as sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks. These types of rocks are resulted by a process of sedimentation. So, we call that sedimentary rocks. Let us read the facts given on the slide. After that, I will explain. The rocks on the earth break into pieces due to various reasons. Yes, let us read it carefully. The rocks on the earth break into pieces due to various reasons. My dear children, there can be different reasons like wind, flowing water, physical factors. Due to various reasons, the large rocks can be broken down into small pieces, right? That is the first step. The rock can be separated into small pieces, right? The rain and the wind carry the pieces of rocks to other places. You know that with the rain and with the wind, the small pieces of rocks are taken from one place to another. Imagine that a rock is separated into small pieces and those small pieces of rocks are taken away by the wind. Sometimes these are taken away by the water, right? That is the second one. The rain and the wind carry the pieces of rocks to other places. Okay? These pieces of rocks settle on land, in the rivers or in the sea as layers. That is the third step. Now, let us see one by one. The large rock is broken up into small pieces. Then that small pieces of rocks are taken by wind and running water. And then the small pieces of rocks settle on the land and sometimes inside the ocean. Sometimes in the rivers they settle on the land. Then different things get deposited on the rock layers and the lower layers get pressed, right. Now, there is a layer of small pieces of rocks on the bottom of the ocean or on the bottom of a river or in the land. Then other substances like decay in plant or animal materials and dead bodies of plant and animals are depositing on that layer. Then just because of the weight of the upper layers, the lower layer is get pressed and tightened. Then this process forms sedimentary rocks, right. The end of a too long process, right. The process is too long. Now, the sedimentary rocks are formed, right. I think I have given you the formation of sedimentary rocks stepwise, right. Then finally, you have to understand that after a process of sedimentation, the sedimentary rocks are formed, right. Sedimentary rocks formation is indicated by this simple diagram. Right. I will explain you the diagram. My dear children, you can see small pieces of rocks are taken by water and they get deposited on the bottom of the ocean, right. Then through the wind these small pieces are coming and they also get deposited on the bottom of the ocean or in the rivers, right. Then other materials like decaying plant and animal materials are depositing on that layer and the bottom layer get pressed, right. Then this is known as a process of sedimentation. Then this happens for millions of years. It takes a long period of time and it forms the sedimentary rocks, right. You can observe the diagram carefully. It is simple and you can easily understand. Once again we will see very small particles of rocks are taken by running water and the wind. They get deposited on the bottom of the ocean or rivers, and other substances like decaying plant and animal materials or dead bodies of plant and animal materials deposited on that bottom layer, and just because of the weight of the upper layers the bottom layer get pressed and then finally the sedimentary rocks are formed. Easy, right. Now we have already discussed about the formation of igneous rocks and we learnt about the examples for igneous rocks. Now we have already learnt about the formation of sedimentary rocks. I explained you it verbally using the facts given on the screen as well as using this diagram, right. Examples for different types of sedimentary rocks. Examples for different types of sedimentary rocks. Yes, I have got some pictures. Before giving the names of the pictures, I would like to give a chance to you to identify the pictures. Can you identify the pictures? Yes, let us see. The picture given there is mudstone, right, that is a type of sedimentary rock. Conglomerate, a type of sedimentary rock. Siltstone, sandstone and limestone, right. Let us take the examples one by one again. You can add them in your list, right. Sandstone, limestone, mudstone, conglomerate and siltstone. Here are some examples for sedimentary rocks. Right. Now, two types of rocks were discussed. Right. Now, we have already learnt about two types of rocks. First type was igneous rocks and the second type was sedimentary rocks. And the last one is metamorphic rocks, right. Read it with me, metamorphic rocks, right. The word metamorphic has come from the word metamorphism, right, because these metamorphic rocks are formed as a result of metamorphism, right. We will see. Metamorphic rocks. Igneous and sedimentary rocks get subjected to extreme pressure and temperature to form metamorphic rocks, right. Read it carefully. Igneous and sedimentary rocks get subjected to extreme pressure and temperature to form the metamorphic rocks, right. Now, we know that the igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks are subjected to extreme pressure and extreme temperature and they change to metamorphic rocks. They change to metamorphic rocks. The process which involves in the formation of metamorphic rock is known as metamorphism, right. This word is new to you. These facts are new to you. You must learn them carefully, right. The process which involves in the formation of metamorphic rock is known as metamorphism. You have to understand that there is a special process called as metamorphism and then the process of metamorphism results the metamorphic rocks, right. Limestone. Now, you already know limestone is a sedimentary rock, right. When we were listing the sedimentary rocks, you learnt that limestone was a sedimentary rock, right. Now, let us see what has happened to limestone. Limestones are undergoing the process of metamorphism, right. The limestone has undergone the process of metamorphism, and see what has formed. Very good. Marble has formed. Now, you can see limestone is a sedimentary rock, then it has converted to metamorphic rock after the process of metamorphism. Then metamorphic rock, an example for metamorphic rock is marble, right. Marble is an example for metamorphic rock. Granite. Now, we already know that granite is an igneous rock. Then let us see what has happened to granite after the metamorphism. Yes, granite is an igneous rock. Then after the metamorphism, let us see what has happened to granite. Gneiss rock. It has become gneiss rock. Gneiss rock is a kind of metamorphic rock. Then I have given you two examples for metamorphic rocks on the screen. First one is marble and second one is gneiss rock, right. Now, limestone is a sedimentary rock. It has converted to a metamorphic rock after the metamorphism, and granite is also an igneous rock. It has converted to a metamorphic rock after the metamorphism, right. I think this simple diagram indicates you clearly how the formation of metamorphic rocks takes place after the process of metamorphism. Now, I have just explained you about igneous rocks. Then I gave you some examples for igneous rocks. Then I explained you about the formation of sedimentary rocks. Then I gave you some examples for sedimentary rocks, and finally I explained you about the metamorphic rocks, and then I explained you how metamorphic rocks are formed, right. Types of minerals, right. Now, when at the beginning of the lesson I showed you that there are different types of minerals. I have given you some pictures of different types of minerals available in our country. Feldspar, quartz, graphite, ilmenite, mica, right. Let us read them again. Feldspar, quartz, graphite, ilmenite and mica, right. My dear children, I like if you can make a picture collection by collecting the pictures of different samples of minerals, right. It is not difficult. You can collect the pictures from everywhere you like, from books, magazines or newspapers. Then you can have a picture collection in your writing book. Here are some examples of minerals. Those are the examples given by me. You may be having some other answers. You can write them in your list. Minerals with different crystalline forms, right. Look at the pictures given on the screen. Actually, the names of these crystalline forms are not so important. What I wanted to emphasize here was the minerals are in different crystalline forms. They have got different shapes. That is what I wanted you to emphasize, right. Now, then here are some shapes because they have got an orderly arranged structure. So, there are specific or identical shapes for minerals, right. Then you can understand that there are different shapes. Right. Rock weathering, weathering of rocks, right. What do you mean by weathering of rocks? Weathering of rocks. The rocks that are on the crust of the earth are always subjected to weathering, because they break into small pieces and they support in the formation of the soil, right? This is known as weathering of rock. What is known as weathering of rocks? There is a question. We will see the answer for the question. The rocks on the earth break into pieces and form soil due to various reasons. This is known as weathering of rocks. Shall we read together? Okay. The rocks on the earth break into pieces and form soil due to various reasons. This is known as weathering of rocks. My dear children, I think you all can remember when you were learning about soil in unit 15, you understood that the bedrock of the earth is supporting to form the soil. Always the rocks are subjected to weathering. Then the weathering takes place due to various reasons. In this lesson, I am going to explain you different methods of weathering of rocks. What are the special factors affecting on the weathering of rocks? We will see. Rock weathering occurs in three ways, right? Alright. According to the factor which is affecting on the weathering of rocks, there are three types. There are three methods of weathering of rocks. These are the three methods. First one, physical or mechanical weathering, right? Chemical weathering, biological weathering, right? Physical or mechanical weathering means the weathering of rocks that is taking place just because of the physical factors like temperature, wind, flow in water, like that. There are physical factors affecting on the weathering of rocks. Then chemical weathering. Due to chemical reactions, the rocks getting weathered. That is known as chemical weathering. Third one, biological weathering. Due to the action of plants and due to the action of animals, the rocks get weathered. That is known as biological rock weathering, right? I think you can understand. Then there are three methods of weathering of rocks: physical or mechanical weathering, then chemical weathering and biological weathering, right? Let's take one by one. First one, physical or mechanical weathering. Physical or mechanical weathering. Read it first. Physical weathering is the process of rock weathering which takes place due to physical factors like heat, wind and flow in water. You can understand that heat, wind and flow in water are considered as physical factors. Just because of these physical factors, the weathering of rocks take place. That is known as physical or mechanical weathering. Let's see how physical weathering takes place. Rocks get heated during the daytime, right? You know that during the daytime there is a high temperature just because of the heat of the sun, right? The rocks get heated during the daytime. Due to the heat of the sun, the rocks get heated. Then that is known as expansion, right? When you were learning about heat in grade 6, you learnt about expansion, right? Then when something is getting larger due to heat is known as expansion. In the same way, the rocks get expanded, right? Then we will see what happens during the night time. The rocks get cooled during the night time. Then you can understand during the daytime, because of the hotness of the sun, the rocks get heated and then the rocks expand. Then during the night time, the opposite of that happens. During the night time, the opposite of that happens. The rocks get cooled during the night time, the opposite of expansion. What is the opposite of expansion? Yes, very good. The opposite of expansion is contraction. Expansions and contractions, two different concepts. Then during the daytime the rocks get expanded, and during the night time the rocks get contracted, right. This is not happening evenly, this is not happening equally. Then this creates, or this results, the breaking of the rocks into pieces, right. Then rocks break into pieces due to these expansions and contractions. I think you can easily understand how heat is affecting on the weathering of rocks. Due to the expansions and contractions that are continuously taking place in the rocks result the weathering of rocks, right. Rocks get weathered when the water flows through them. You may have seen the stones that are found from rivers. They are in round shape. The reason is the stones get weathered when the water flows through them. You can understand it using these two pictures. You can see the shape of the stone there. The shape is round shape. You can see the edges of the stone are well smoothened and they are well shaped. Then you can see that the rocks get weathered when the water flows through them, right. I think you all have got your writing books and textbooks in your hand. Have a look at page number 105 in your textbook, figure 18.8. This diagram indicates you how the breaking of rocks takes place due to water running into ice. In the first picture, you can see there is a cavity in the rock. Can you see it? There is a small cavity in the rock and the cavity is filled with water, right? The cavity is filled with water. When the temperature is lower than the freezing point of water, the water inside the cavity turns into ice. We have learned that when the water turns into ice, the volume increases. Then see what has happened to the cavity. The cavity has enlarged. There is an enlarged cavity here. Once again the temperature is higher than the freezing point, then ice melts and turns to water. Then again the temperature is lower than the freezing point. What has happened? The water inside the cavity has become ice, then the size of the cavity has increased. Then you can say that the water becomes ice and it results the cavity enlarge. The cavity has increased its size just because of these state changes of water. This also results the weathering of rocks, right. Water inside the cavities turns into ice when the temperature is less than the freezing point of water. When the temperature is less than 0 degrees of Celsius, the water becomes ice, right. Then the volume of the cavities increase and rocks break into pieces, right. Now I explained you how the breaking of rocks takes place due to water turning into ice. If you want, you can have a look at your textbook and get the idea. Right. Chemical weathering of rocks. By looking at the name, you can understand that there are chemical reactions taking place. Okay, there are chemical reactions taking place. As a result of chemical reactions taking place in our environment, chemical weathering of rocks take place. The transformation of rocks into other forms by reacting with water, acids and oxygen is known as chemical weathering of rocks, right. In our environment there is oxygen, water as well as acids, right. Then the rocks react with those substances and then they produce different types of chemical substances. It also results chemical weathering of rocks. Let us take an activity, right. First of all, let us read the activity. After that, I will do the activity. You can get your observations and then you have to arrive at a conclusion. We will see. Activity: test whether acids cause weathering of rocks. Now, I am going to check whether acids can cause the weathering of rocks. The materials required for the activity are a glass container, we can use a beaker or a drinking glass. Then vinegar. Vinegar is a substance that contains acid, right? Vinegar is a substance that contains acid. So, we can consider vinegar as an acidic substance, okay, right? It is similar to an acid. Then a piece of limestone. A piece of limestone, we call that calcium carbonate. We can take a small piece of limestone. This is the method of doing the activity. Pour vinegar to the glass container and put the limestone into the container and observe. Shall we do the activity? Yes, let us do. Here is a glass container. I have got a small beaker, right? You can easily observe, you can easily get the observations using this glass beaker. And in this bottle, there is vinegar. Then I am going to put some vinegar to the beaker in this way. Then this is a piece of limestone. Then you all can observe, here is a piece of limestone. Then I have taken small pieces of limestone to observe easy reaction. Then I am going to put some pieces of limestone to the solution of vinegar in this way. Right. You can get your observations. What can you observe? Right? Can you observe anything? Yes? Yes, you can easily observe that the air bubbles are releasing during the reaction. Can you observe? Right? Let us wait a little, then you can observe more and more. You can observe the air bubbles are releasing. I think you all could observe that. Let us see the observation. The observation is the piece of limestone dissolves. Yes, the pieces of limestone are dissolving. Right? You observe that there was a chemical reaction taking place, and as a result of that chemical reaction, the air bubbles were releasing and the pieces of limestone dissolved. Air bubbles emit. Actually, these two observations prove us that there was a chemical reaction taking place. The conclusion of the activity was limestone got weathered because of vinegar or acids. So, by using the observations you got from the activity, we can arrive at a conclusion, that is, limestone got weathered because of vinegar or acids. Right? That is the conclusion. Then I want to explain you another thing. You can see there is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a gas which is naturally available in our environment. Sulphur dioxide is also a gas. Actually, it is released into the environment as a result of industries and as a result of human activities. A large amount of sulphur dioxide can be emitted to the environment, right? Then, both carbon dioxide and sulphur dioxide can be dissolved in water. Both carbon dioxide and sulphur dioxide can be dissolved in water. Then, when the carbon dioxide and sulphur dioxide dissolve in water, it becomes acidic water, right. When acidic water falls onto the rocks get subjected to weathering. It is chemical weathering. I think you can easily understand this diagram. Acidic water is formed by dissolving carbon dioxide and sulphur dioxide in water. Then when the acidic water falls onto the rocks are subjected to chemical weathering, right. I think you all can understand and it is very clear. Let us see the last one, biological rock weathering. Biological rock weathering means the weathering of rock which is created by the action of plants and animals. Rocks get weathered due to plants and animal activities. This is called biological rock weathering. Methods of biological rock weathering. Yes, look at the picture. You can see how a plant has gone into the cavity of a rock and the rock has separated into pieces. Then you can see that this weathering of rock has occurred due to the root of the plant. It is a biological factor. So, this is one method of biological rock weathering, right. When a root of a plant goes inside an opening of a rock, it grows bigger to make the rock cracked, right. What is it? I think you can find this on the rocks, then you can find this on the barks of the trees, that is known as lichens. Lichen on a rock. I think lichens are patches in white or green colors. You can easily observe them on the barks of the trees and on rocks, right. Lichens are a combination of algae and fungus that can produce acids and various chemicals to cause weathering of rocks. Lichen is a combination of algae and fungus. When algae and fungus combine together, they can form lichens. Lichens have a special ability of secreting substances, then that chemical substances can create the weathering of rocks. So, that is known as chemical weathering of rocks. Then you have to understand that lichens support in the chemical weathering of rocks. Then steps of the rock cycle. My dear children, the formation of the rocks is taking place as a result of a rock cycle. This is happening in a circular way, that is known as rock cycle. Now, let us see the steps of the rock cycle. Formation of igneous rocks. I have already explained you about the formation of igneous rocks. Then formation of sedimentary rocks from igneous rocks. Then firstly igneous rocks, then sedimentary rocks. Formation of metamorphic rocks, igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Then metamorphic and igneous rocks are subjected to extreme temperature to form magma, right. These metamorphic and igneous rocks are subjected to extreme pressure and extreme temperature. Actually, I must mention here, this takes a too long period of time, right. To form metamorphic and igneous rocks are subjected to extreme temperature to form magma. Right. Now, I am going to give you the rock cycle using a diagram. Magma. Magma is cooling. When the lava comes out, it becomes magma, and magma is cooling. Then igneous rocks are formed. Then weathering and sedimentation. Igneous rocks are subjected to weathering and sedimentation. Then sedimentary rocks are formed, and sedimentary rocks are subjected to extreme pressure and heat for a long period of time. Then metamorphic rocks are formed. Again, metamorphic rocks are subjected to high pressure to form the magma. You can see there is a circle. There is a circle. This circle is known as rock cycle. This circle is known as the rock cycle. I think you can understand more about rock cycle. Right. My dear children, you know that rocks and minerals are considered as one of the most important natural resource of a country. It's really important for a country. Then we have to protect them for future generations. So, we have to use them sustainably while thinking about the future. So, there are some methods to be followed for using the rocks and minerals sustainably. Sustainable usage of rocks and minerals, right? Rocks and minerals are non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources means these resources cannot be used again and again, right? If they are over on the earth, then we will lose them forever. We should use them thriftily in an environmental friendly manner. We have to think about the future generations and we have to use them in an environmental friendly manner. Then we can save them for future generations. Always we have to think about the future. We are living at present, but we have to think about the future. We have to save them by thinking about the future generations. Strategies for the sustainable use of rocks and minerals. I think you have to draw your attention towards the methods of using rocks and minerals sustainably. Here are the methods. Increasing the efficiency of the extraction of rocks and minerals, right? The rocks and minerals can be extracted efficiently, right? That is one method. Then using rocks and minerals efficiently. When we are using the rocks and minerals, we have to think about the future usage and we have to use it efficiently. And finally, we can recycle them, right? Rocks and minerals also can be recycled and we can use them again and again. Yes, recycling rocks and minerals. Right. My dear children, I would like to give you an assignment for you to do at home, right? These days you have much time to engage in your assignments. So, copy the table and you can get the help of your textbook to complete the table, right? The table has two columns in it, the mineral and the uses of the minerals. I have given you 6 minerals there: apatite, dolomite, feldspar, graphite, mica and kaolin. Then they have different uses. For example, when we think about apatite, it is used to produce fertilizers. That is the use. In the same way, you have to complete the table after the lesson, right? My dear children, now I am going to summarize the lesson in this way. Minerals are formed with the single components. Yes, you all can remember. Then I explained you it several times. Rocks are made of several components and there are 3 types of rocks. Then you have to recall that they are igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Soil is formed from physical, chemical and biological weathering of rocks. Then the formation of soil, you have learnt it in a previous lesson also. Rock cycle is the process in which rocks change from one form into other form for a very long time. Then I explain you the rock cycle in detail. My dear children, rocks and minerals have to be conserved as they are very valuable. Rocks and minerals are considered as very valuable resources, so we have to conserve them. My dear children, this is the end of today's lesson. I personally believe that today's lesson was really interesting for you and you were able to learn many things through the lesson. All right, my dear children. Now we have come to the end of today's lesson. I personally believe that today's lesson was really interesting for you as well. It was really important for you. I hope to meet you with another interesting science lesson. If you miss this lesson accidentally, you can watch it again and again using channel NIE. Until I meet you with another interesting science lesson, stay safe and goodbye.